on the mistake. Here's Henderson, he's away! Good save! He scored! There's one back! Divock Origi! Alba's up there too. Pulled back towards Messi, what a save! Had to make it, Alisson. He's on his way to the middle, so is Wijnaldum! Oh, it's in! Off the bench, he scored! Wijnaldum! Oh, it's three! Messi's coming in, Liverpool have switched off. Alisson with the save.
Barcelona never truly returned from Anfield. Those who did return were merely shadows of the players they once were. The club lost its European shine, and the features of a defeatist character began to form, one that would haunt them through dark years in the Champions League. With the beginning of the following season, the greatest disaster awaited. 8 goals tore through their net against Bayern Munich, the heaviest European defeat in the club's history. These catastrophes were not mere passing stumbles, but a direct result of the administrative chaos led by the former president Josep Maria Bartomeu, who left the club with the largest debt in the history of sports, $1.5 billion. The accumulation of failures did not come without a price. A motion of no confidence was launched within the club's walls against the president, and preparations began for early elections. A desperate attempt to save a club stumbling both athletically and economically. At the season's end, interim coach Xavi was dismissed, and the team was handed over to club legend Ronald Koeman, who gave up coaching his national team for a long-cherished dream, leading Barcelona. Koeman began his project with radical changes to the squad. His first casualty was the Uruguayan star Luis Suarez, followed by the departure of Arturo Vidal. In terms of signings, brought in Trincão and Serginho Dest, saw Philippe Coutinho return from loan, and signed the gifted Pedri from Las Palmas. Koeman's beginnings carried some hope, and the team achieved good results. But soon, reality struck harshly in El Clasico, followed by a series of poor results that broke long-standing records, notably the first European defeat at Camp Nou since 2013, after a 3-0 loss to Juventus. In the Spanish Super Cup, the team exited with a painful defeat to Athletic Bilbao, during which Lionel Messi received a rare red card. Nevertheless, Barcelona went on a domestic winning streak that rekindled hope, especially the emphatic 6-1 win over Real Sociedad. But after the international break, the team entered a decisive month in La Liga that began with another Clásico and another loss. In the Champions League, Barcelona suffered a bitter exit at the hands of Paris Saint-Germain in the round of 16. Copa del Rey remained the only bright spot, with a resounding 4-0 win over Bilbao in the final. Then came summer, and with it, an earthquake.
Messi will be leaving Barcelona after the club were unable to fulfill the player's new contract.
Messi's contract expired, and despite signs suggesting he would stay, fans were shocked by the decision to part ways. A painful farewell to a legend forever etched into the club's memory, but the board had no choice but to move on. Barcelona signed striker Sergio Aguero and defender Eric Garcia from Manchester City, as well as Memphis Depay. In a surprising move, Frenchman Antoine Griezmann returned to his former club Atletico Madrid. Poor results at the season start pushed the team toward the brink of the Europa League. A change was inevitable. Koeman was sacked, and after tough negotiations with Al Sadd, former captain Xavi Hernandez returned home as manager. Despite doubts surrounding his arrival, Xavi tried to salvage what he could in the Champions League, but failed, and the team settled for Europa League play. In La Liga, Barcelona was 5th by the end of the first half of the season, so the board backed Xavi with several signings. The return of Dani Alves, Adama Traoré on loan, Ferran Torres from Manchester City for €50 million, and finally Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang joined for free. In the Supercopa, Barcelona lost an intense Clásico in extra time. But their performance gave a glimpse of hope. Indeed, the team started to rise in La Liga. In the much-anticipated Clásico on March 10th, Real Madrid was stunned. 4-0 defeat at the Santiago Bernabeu, Barcelona's best display in years. It was the match that revived hopes of Barcelona's return. In the Europa League, Barcelona beat both Napoli and Galatasaray, with impressive performances from Pedri and Aubameyang, and the unexpected surprise, Luuk de Jong, who scored crucial goals despite only being on loan. After the international break, they beat direct rivals Sevilla with a magical goal from Pedri, but the shock came in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, falling to Eintracht Frankfurt at Camp Nou after a first-leg draw. In the final rounds, results declined, winning only 4 of the last 8 matches. But thanks to their rivals' stumbles, Barcelona secured Champions League qualification and a spot in the next season's Supercopa. In the summer of 2022, Laporta returned forcefully to the transfer market. Frank Kessié joined from Milan on a free, along with defender Christensen from Chelsea. In a thunderous deal, Barcelona beat Arsenal and Chelsea to sign Rafinha from Leeds for €67 million, then Koundé from Sevilla for €50 million. But the most prominent signing was Polish star Robert Lewandowski, Bayern Munich's legendary striker. Before the window closed, Marcos Alonso joined. Aubameyang left for Chelsea, followed by Coutinho to Aston Villa, and the end of Adama and De Jong's loans. Dani Alves' second spell also came to an end. The team started strongly in the league, 6 wins and a draw in the first 7 rounds, taking the lead after Real Madrid stumbled against Osasuna. But the European tale reopened its wounds. In the Champions League, the team started with a 5-1 win over Victoria Plzeň, but against Bayern Munich,
And a chance here, it's Pedri. Played into Lewandowski. Lewandowski, Rafinha. He cracked that one.
despite a good first half, missed chances cost them dearly in the second. Then came a loss to Inter at San Siro, plunging Barcelona into a complex situation. The return leg at Camp Nou was decisive, but Lewandowski's 2 goals weren't enough. Barcelona dropped to the Europa League again. Despite the European bitterness, the team kept winning domestically and capitalized on Real Madrid's slips to finish the first half of La Liga 5 points ahead. Then came the Supercopa.
Lewandowski, there's a chance, Xavi!
Their best performance under Xavi.
He looks up, Lewandowski surely, 2-0 to Barcelona!
Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 3 in the Supercopa final, reigniting hope and pointing to a future rising from chaos. They ended the season with a well-deserved league title, clinched officially against city rivals Espanyol after a remarkable campaign marked by unmatched defensive solidity, thanks to Araujo, Koundé, Christensen, and Balde. Offensively, Lewandowski delivered as expected, finishing as La Liga's top scorer. But Barcelona's domestic brilliance was confined to the league. They crashed out of the Copa del Rey at the hands of Real Madrid with a heavy 4-0 defeat, one of their worst El Clasico nights since 2008. At season's end, a golden era concluded with the departures of captain Sergio Busquets and legendary fullback Jordi Alba. Frank Kessié joined Al Ahly while Nico Gonzalez and Abdel Zalzouli were sold. In signings, Barcelona continued a strategy of free acquisitions. Inigo Martinez joined from Bilbao, and ex-Man City captain Ilkay Gundogan arrived. Oriol Romeu was signed from Girona to replace Busquets. In the final moments of the transfer window, the squad was reinforced with the loans of Portuguese duo João Felix and João Cancelo. But in Xavi's second season, everything began to fall apart. The once ironclad defense now looked fragile, and opponents scored with ease. Barcelona presented a weak version of itself in La Liga, suffering back-to-back 4-2 defeats against Girona and a humiliating 5-1 loss at home to Villarreal. These catastrophic results cost them the title early, with Real Madrid leading the league almost unbeaten. Despite slight improvement in the second half, Barca finished second with 85 points. Domestically, after another 4-1 loss to Real Madrid in the Supercopa and a Copa del Rey exit to Athletic Bilbao, only the Champions League remained. A favorable draw helped them top their group easily and reach the quarterfinals to face Paris Saint-Germain.
Touch to Pedri, wonderful ball lifted in, it's in! It's a brilliant introduction from Pedri! Donnarumma stayed, but nowhere near it! And Christensen with his first touch off the bench fires Barcelona back ahead in Paris!
The first leg was one of their best performances of the season. At Montjuic in the second leg, they started strong with an early goal from Rafinha. But everything flipped after Araujo's red card. The unthinkable happened.
shoot from that kind of range. Charge, and Mbappe's gone bursting through the middle. And Mbappe can quick shift and save to Stegen. Asensio with the ball on. There's to Stegen again. Clear to Mbappe who scores this time. Three chances, the third one converted by Kylian Mbappe.
Another European collapse. Barcelona returned to the familiar dark image their fans have come to dread in Europe. The rest of the season was no less disastrous. Chaos took over.
The most difficult club in the world because of the environment. The most difficult club.
And Xavi was ultimately sacked. The club decided to start a new era under German coach Hansi Flick, the mastermind behind Bayern Munich's historic sextuple, and ironically, the man who inflicted one of Barca's harshest UCL defeats. Despite the disappointment of Xavi's final season, one bright spot was his courage to trust La Masia products, Pau Cubarsí and Lamine Yamal, who imposed themselves with extraordinary talent and mental maturity. But the transfer window was underwhelming. Cancelo, Gundogan, and João Felix all departed. The only addition was Dani Olmo, signed after a strong Euro performance. Barca entered August and September with confidence, losing only once in their first 8 La Liga matches, alongside a Champions League opener loss to Monaco, after a fatal error by Ter Stegen, who was later injured and missed the rest of the season. The team had to rely on Iñaki Peña, and then brought back Szczęsny from retirement to become the main goalkeeper. Despite the crises, the team remained unshaken. In October, Barca exploded with a 5-goal haul against Young Boys, followed by another 5 against Sevilla. Then came the encounter with Bayern Munich, a repeated nightmare in recent years.
European treble, and they're already in trouble, Bayern. It's Rafinha for Barcelona, around the goalkeeper, and scores! Early run from Lopez, who's in, and Lewandowski finishes it off! Into the path of Rafinha. Guerrero is isolated. It's Rafinha! 3-1 Barcelona! In the last seconds of the first half. Lamine Yamal and Rafinha is in. This could be the hat-trick for Rafinha. Yes! The match ball goes to the Barcelona.
A stunning win against Bayern, a team that haunted Barca for years, announced that this season would be different. They entered El Clasico with high morale and crushed Real Madrid 4-0. 2 matches changed the entire perception of this team. Hansi Flick didn't come to play, he came to win.
The whole team, the players and all the staff behind them, we are working hard and focused that we achieve all our goals. With your support, we are much stronger. Disfruteu, Visca Barça.
But the shock came against Real Sociedad, a defeat that brought everyone back to reality. The squad lacked depth, especially in the wings and fullback positions. Flick walked a tightrope, hoping it wouldn't snap, but the injury to Lamine Yamal mid-season did just that. After the international break, the team collapsed. 5 matches, 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 defeats. The worst was against Las Palmas in round 15, which dropped Barca to 3rd place. They entered the Atletico Madrid match wounded and left even worse, losing to a last-minute goal by Sirloth, despite having 19 shots to Atletico's 5. The usual seasonal collapse seemed to have begun. Then came the Supercopa match against Real Madrid.
Barcelona dominating that. Now a test of the Real Madrid defence. Lovely drop of the shoulder from Lamine Yamal. He keeps his balance, he keeps his head, and he equalises for Barcelona. Lewandowski, perfect, gives Barcelona the lead. The competitions, they head back to Barcelona in midweek. Here is, oh brilliant, Rafinha! How did 3 defenders not spot him coming in? For Ancelotti and his coaching team, now it's a scramble back. Rafinha shakes off Valverde. 4-1 before half-time.
Barca humiliated their rivals with a 5-2 victory. Had Szczęsny not been sent off, the disaster could have been even bigger for Madrid. Then came an explosion, a heroic remontada against Benfica, a 7-goal thrashing of Valencia, and an easy UCL qualification that revived the team's spirit. Although the La Liga gap reached 7 points, round 24 saw both Real and Atletico stumble. Barca snatched the top spot and never let it go. In the Champions League, luck smiled again, facing Benfica instead of PSG. Despite QBarC's red card in the first leg, Barça earned a valuable win thanks to Rafinha's goal and Szczęsny's brilliance, repeating the victory in the second leg to reach the quarterfinals, then back to La Liga and a trip to the Metropolitano to face Atletico on their own turf. Barça did it. They handed Atletico their first home loss of the season, coming from 2-0 down to a historic 4 victory to keep the top spot. 2 weeks later at the same venue, Barça eliminated Atletico from the Copa del Rey to reach the final. In the UCL quarterfinals, Barcelona comfortably passed Dortmund, despite losing the second leg, their first defeat in 2025. Now the treble was no longer a dream. Just 2 weeks and 4 decisive matches remained: the Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid, 2 Champions League clashes against Inter, and a fiery Clásico in La Liga. Every match was a final. No room for excuses.
Yamal va a buscar la segunda línea. Pedri. Va a buscar el empate. Barrera poblada. Ahí va el lanzamiento. De círculo. Se prepara Arda Güler. La vuelve a poner con una rosca tremenda. Yamal, atención al desmarque para Rudiger, puede llegar Ferran. Le cae a Modric se salva la entrada. Al llegar Koundé, anticipa Brahim, disparo. ¡Gol del Fútbol Club Barcelona!
Despite controversial refereeing decisions and an atmosphere of intense tension, Barça emerged victorious in the final, clinching their second title of the season at Madrid's expense. With morale at its peak, the team prepared for a heavyweight European battle against Inter in the Champions League. Despite the fatigue from the cup final, Barça managed to come from 2 goals down and retain the La Liga lead after a win over Real Valladolid. Then came the trip to the San Siro. In the first 45 minutes, Inter did everything right against Barcelona, but what awaited in the second half was pure magic.
Rather than sending it across, they'll lift it in, and on the volley Garcia, and Barcelona back in it. Cia and the Martin cutting it back for Garcia. Where did he come from? Martin lifting it again. Runner is on, and this one's in the back of the net. Barça have it back. Pedri, a ball, and Rafinha. Right against Son, Rafinha again. It's got in. Rafinha with his 13th goal in the Champions League, and it might just have sent Barcelona to the final.
With a bit more luck and some defensive restraint in the final minutes, we might have seen Barça in the final. The team gave everything on the pitch, but it wasn't enough. But there was no room for sadness or regret, for Barcelona had a new appointment with the traditional rival, and this time in a league battle. Only 4 points separated the two teams, and everything was at stake. As usual, Barcelona was able to come back after falling behind by 2 goals and win by 4 goals, securing La Liga afterward against Espanyol and achieving the domestic treble. It didn't matter that the dream of the treble wasn't completed. What mattered more was that Barcelona ended its season having regained something more valuable than titles: the pride of the fans. For the first time in years, the Catalans felt that their team was returning with a new mentality, with a spirit that doesn't give up. What Hansi Flick did in this club goes beyond numbers and trophies. It's that mental toughness, that belief that you can always come back, no matter the circumstances, and that indescribable passion, the thing that cannot be taught but is born with you. Yes, it is Barcelona, but with a new heartbeat. Don't forget to subscribe and follow.